Coming. So we were having the class and the camera stopped. It's September 26th, Thursday. And we are in BBIS first semester English class where we are discussing the story. So let's move ahead. I'll be slow and I'll analyze the story like this, but I won't teach you other stories. I will teach you one story in such a detail and train or read other stories. You will read them on your own. You will come and present here, okay? One I'm doing for you. I won't do this like this for all stories. Okay. Now I said we have dialogue. And I said dialogues reveal character's mind. And you yourself don't count at all. Keshav says. If that's how you want to understand it, I used to think those old ways were just for silly hypocrites. Look, Keshav says that others are hypocrites and Keshav proves that he is hypocrite. How? But now it seems that educated girls like you knuckle under to them too. Keshav thinks education means going against traditions. But I personally will tell you, education does not mean going against traditions. Education means balancing between traditions and modernity and moving ahead smoothly. But today's education wrongly teaches to revolt against all traditions. And that's not always good. Move ahead. Look what he says. Look, Keshav. I am ready to give up everything for you. Oh God, what a hypocrite. Keshav says here, I am ready to give up everything for you. And when his father says, at one point his father says, okay, so if you want to marry that Bania girl, do not come in this house from tomorrow. This is my house. His father says, this is my house, my property. You will not get a single penny. Go where you want to go. Then Keshav has a big question. The question is, oh God, I am under the roof now, my father's house. If I revolt against my father, and if I can't come in his house, where shall I go? Where shall I take her? So the point to understand is, the social conditions are so harsh that Keshav can't stand against them. The social conditions are so harsh, so tough, that Keshav can't stand against them. I told you yesterday, when I was in my teens, 30, 40 years before, I fell in love more than half a dozen times in school. But every time my love affair ended immaturely, because the big question that came to my mind was, what will happen to my father's image? If society knows that I love this girl, then they will hate my father. Because my father was a highly respected college principal. He was very famous in the area. People came and touched my father's feet. He was a pandit, he was a guru. They touched my father's feet with high respect. And always I said, if I do something wrong, my father's image will be tarnished. So I always stepped back. The same is happening in the story. Keshav cannot revolt against his father. Keshav cannot revolt against the traditions. Keshav cannot revolt against the society. Keshav cannot revolt against caste system. Keshav cannot revolt against religious rules. As a result, Keshav writes a note to Prema. If you see that note here, let me show the note quickly. Look here, what Keshav does. Here he says, I am ready to give up everything for you. And look what he does here. I'll show a line to you. Wait a minute, I'll show. Wait a minute. Yes, here. This is the letter that Keshav wrote to Prema. Because Prema said, Please, darling, my daddy wants to talk to you. Come home for tea this evening. Prema tells Keshav to come home because Prema has told her father and she has convinced her father. Prema convinces her father and writes Keshav to come home. Now look what Keshav does. This is Keshav's answer. Here it is. I am in terrible quandary. What is quandary? A situation where you are not able to decide what to do. A situation where you can't decide what to do. I am in a terrible quandary about how to answer you. I have been desperate trying to figure out what to do. And I have come to the conclusion that this is coward. See the conclusion. For the present, it would be impossible for me to go against my father's orders. In the past he said, I will do anything for you. And look what he says. Don't think I'm a coward. But I say he's a coward. You may disagree. I am not being selfish either. But I don't have the strength to get over the obstacle. I don't have the strength to get over the obstacles. What are these obstacles? The obstacle of tradition, the obstacle of caste, the obstacle of family. The biggest obstacle is, what will people say? Every time you need to take a crucial decision, the big question you ask is, what will people say? And if you always have this question, what will people say, you can't achieve anything in life. So you start saying, I damn care what will people say. I damn care what will people say. But it's not easy to say I damn care. It's easy to say I damn care in the classroom. But it's not easy to say I damn care in real life. So the biggest obstacle was for Keshav was, what will people say? What will my father say? What will my relatives say? Right? Then, say, I'll read her. Okay. Facing me, forget what I told you, God. I sometimes imagine if I was a girl, Prema, and this letter came to me, how would I feel this line? Written by somebody who says, I'll do anything for you. Forget what I told you before. At that time, I had no idea of how hard it was going to be. So, at this young age, teenage, 19, 20, if you are in love, if you are in an affair, you might feel it's so romantic. But understand, it may turn out to be very hard when you reveal to the family. Your family opposes it. Your father opposes it. Mom opposes it. Whole society says no. Then you have difficult time. Right? So, conflict. Individual versus society. Individual versus society. Now, let me show some lines where you will see Prema and her father. I'll take you back in the story. Those of you who have read the story have some idea, I guess. Let me show. Okay. Now I'm taking you to second section. How many sections are there in this story? Someone? How many sections are there in this story? How many sections are there? Someone tell me. How many sections? Not 7. 6. There are 6 sections. Section 1 is setting. Background to the story. And section 1 is setting, and section 1 sets the scene by showing Prema and Keshav in hot debate. Keshav says, chalo bhag chale purab ki or, and Prema says, no, I can't do that. This is what happens with the boys. You know, boys are very selfish. Boys are very selfish when they are in love. How? What the boys want from the girls is their body. They want their body. They want to kiss. They want to hug. They want to caress. They want to touch. And the point to understand is that if a girl gives her body and later the boy writes the letter like this, then the whole problem is with the girl. Now she has to face the problem. She has to face the problem. So please be careful. If you're in love, be careful. If somebody asks for a body, understand they don't love you. At one point Prema says to Keshav, if we can't marry, darling, can't we be just good friends? Prema says. And Keshav says, no, I'm a materialist. I'm not an idealist. And Keshav hints that for me, love is sex. For me, love is body. Whereas Prema said, I'm a Baniya girl. You're a Brahmin boy. We can't marry, we know. Our families probably will say no to our marriage. So let's be a good friend. Let's stay friend lifelong. Then Keshav says, no, I don't believe in those things. Because I'm a materialist. And who is a materialist? An Epicurean is a materialist. Epicurean. Who is Epicurean? Epicurean is a person who believes in carnal pleasure. What is carnal pleasure? Pleasure of the body. They believe in eating. They believe in drinking. They believe in mischieving. They believe in body pleasures. So Keshav is a materialist. For Keshav, the culmination of love is getting Prema's body. That's why he says to Prema, go home and tell your parents, let's get married. Keshav is hurried to get her body. But Prema is not for Keshav's body. Prema loves Keshav's soul. Prema is dedicated to Keshav. For Prema, Keshav is an ideal, not a body. That's why Prema says at one point, Keshav, can't we keep on loving without the body? So Prema is idealist. Keshav is a materialist. For Keshav, love means body and sex and marriage. For Prema, love means a connection between the two souls. So Prema is metaphysical. For Prema, body has no place in love. Not necessary. Keshav is physical. So the conflict here in the story is physical versus metaphysical. The conflict here is physical versus metaphysical. So you will see in second section, Prema comes home, she is in the bed sleeping, and Prema's mother talk. And Prema is not asleep, so mother comes and says, why aren't you sleeping? They talk, and what do they talk about? Then Prema's mother says that do some kitchen work, learn some embroidery, learn some knitting, learn some domestic work. Soon you will get married, and who knows what kind of husband you will get. If luckily you got a good husband, your life will be happy. But if you got a bad husband, your life will be hell. This kind of talk goes on. And at one point, Prema gives her mother a hint, slight hint, that she is in love. She doesn't tell directly. Even that hint is like a lightning, and Prema's mother is very serious, even with the hint, because Prema's father changes And at the end he becomes ready. But Prema's mother said, I have 2 eggs. I will imagine one egg is broken. Let her die. The mother says. When daddy says to his wife, darling, let's listen to our children. Then mother says, no, we can't go against society. Then father says, what will he do? Imagine tomorrow she commits suicide. What will he do? Then people will know. His daughter was in love and she commits suicide. Then mother says, let her die. Look, why? Why does the mother think so? Have you seen in our society, women, I don't know for reasons, many reasons, women are more stuck with traditions. Have you seen women? In many cases, men come out in society, go to market, watch movies, so they are more progressive. But in many cases, women, because of following traditions, women are more rigid than men. In many families, women are more rigid than men. Then, let me quickly take it through other sections. Section 3 I will take you. Okay. Section 3. In section 3, section 3 presents the dialogue between Prema and father. Her father calls Prema in his room and her father shows a photograph and says, do you know this boy? She says, I don't know. Then he says, this boy has just succeeded in getting a government job and I want to marry with this boy. Then Prema says, no. She denies. And there Prema tells, I have a boy. Then father says, who is that? Prema goes in the room, brings Keshav's photograph and shows to father. Father is extremely upset. It is a climax of the story, peak point of the story. Nobody knows what to do. Then Prema goes in the room. Then 6 months pass. Then father says, from tomorrow you will not go to college. Prema's father says, I sent you college to study and I see that you spend time in love, so you won't go to college. 6 months pass. After 6 months, father's mind changes. Then he consults mother and says, we have to listen to our children. We are outgoing generation, they are incoming generation, let's listen to children. But mother doesn't agree. Then father convinces mother and finally father says, okay, we are willing to follow you. Then Prema, he says, I'll go to Keshav's father. Then Prema sends a message that my daddy is coming to meet your daddy and please come home.